I'm Andrew Schwartz, and you're listening to The Truth of the Matter, a podcast by CSIS where we break down the top policy issues of the day and talk with the people that can help us best understand what's really going on. Hi, Truth of the Matter listeners. Today's episode is a crossover with another CSIS podcast called It's More Than Grit, which I co-host with Mariana and Andrew. We sat down with Gopi Kallayil, the Chief Business Strategist for AI at Google, to discuss all things AI. The interview was fascinating, and I wanted to make sure to share it with all of you. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
Gopi, welcome to It's More Than Grit. You cannot imagine how happy Andrew and I are to have you on the show today. You are the Chief Business Strategist for AI at Google. You have deep experience in digital transformation, in creating AI-powered business and marketing brand strategies. You have partnered with some of the world's largest organizations and helping them to leverage AI. You're also known for integrating mindfulness and personal well-being into everyday life and business. In fact, you have written 2 books. One is called The Happy Human, and the second one is called The Internet to the Internet, in which you offer a perspective as Google executive and mindfulness advocate in an artificial intelligence world. With that context, Gopi, what excites you the most about AI in business today?
Sure. Thank you, Mariana. Thank you, Andrew, and delighted and honored to be on this show. What excites me most about AI in today's world, it is we are at the early stages of witnessing the birth of the most profound technologies ever created by human beings. Every 100 years or so, humans will come up with a piece of technology that completely changes the arc of civilization. For example, around 1640 or so is when Joseph Gutenberg invented the printing press. And 600 years later, books and other printed materials still are such a significant part of information creation and dissemination. And can you imagine for a minute how civilization would have turned out if we didn't have the ability to print and distribute information via books and other printed material? Same way, 1752 electricity is so foundational a technology that it has entered every aspect of our life. If you just stop and look around the room you're in, you'll find at least 15 use cases. Our cars drive on it. We come up on elevators. Every equipment in the kitchen seems to run on it. And if you turn it off for 10 seconds around the world, civilization will grind to a halt. And now we are seeing similarly the birth of artificial intelligence. What is different this time is the earlier waves of technology primarily helped us with physical capabilities, like cars moved us and goods, or construction equipment helped us build tall buildings, industrial revolution, etc. But AI is all about cognitive capability. The human brain is fascinating. We have the most highly developed cognitive capability of all the species on the planet. And we have done incredible things with it. If you look at the last 12,000 years of human history, humans have built tools. One after the other, we keep building tools. This bottle of water in front of me is a tool so that I can carry water, warm or cold, or with me where I want to, and deal with my thirst. So we are very good at building these tools to solve problems that improve quality of life for everyone. And mostly we did with physical tools, but now we're dealing with seeing the birth of a tool that will amplify our cognitive capability. So what excites me most is the potential for what we will do with this tool to change our life, to solve for many problems we could not solve before. I don't have the answers to all of those because that is still coming, but I'm excited about it.
Gopi, it's really interesting. I was lucky enough on Henry Kissinger's 100th birthday. We had a party for him at CSIS, and I was able to interview him. And I asked him what kept him up at night. And without hesitation, he said AI. And then he said something that was kind of chilling to me. He said, in the future, countries are not going to fight over territory. They're going to fight over data. There's obviously a lot of dangers that go along with the rapid acceleration of AI and the race to superhuman intelligence. How do you balance all that with the great things that AI is already providing for humans and what the potential is.
So, Andrew, I'm an eternal optimist when it comes to these things. And this problem that you're describing that Henry Kissinger talks about is not unique to AI. Every single piece of technology that humans have used to greater good, we also use it for devious, destructive purposes. That is an incredible human talent. And I say this in an obtuse kind of way, meaning some humans will take any piece of technology and figure out a way to say what damage can inflict. Start with the oldest technology humans must have discovered, fire. Fire, we discovered early years, can warm our caves and kept predators away and cook the antelope our ancestors caught so that we could digest it. But very soon we realized it can be dangerous. You stick your finger, it burns you. Your cave back then, your house now could burn down or fill with smoke and soot. And worse, the neighboring tribe back then must have weaponized fire to attack another tribe that they were at war with. So over the years, we built checks and balances to protect ourselves from it. If you think about it, and this is the human capacity to solve problems and innovate. I don't worry about fire that much when I'm sitting on the 100th floor of a building, because when I look around, there's fire detection systems and there's a whole mechanism to help save me from fire. And in every city, we actually trained a group of human beings to react and respond to a fire emergency. And within minutes, they will show up the firehouse 24/7. We have people watching it. In our houses, we have ovens and mittens, etc. And despite that, some people still deliberately use fire. So we even have arson laws built in to a penal code. And this tendency of humans to do havoc with fire or things to happen inadvertently has always existed, and we had to put guardrails in. The same thing with planes. Planes useful to transport people and goods and medical equipment and medicines, and yet some humans said this is also a good way to transport weapons of mass destruction. So with AI also, the potential exists. Henry Kissinger is right. But I have this faith that humans will work together in putting together checks and balances, really up to us to put all of that in place. So for example, just like we have the firehouse in every city, we don't yet quite have the AI watchdog bodies, or like we have the International Atomic Energy Commission, we don't yet have the International AI Protection Commission. I'm also predicting that, and this actually is not my original thought, Eric Schmidt, former chairman of Google, CEO, and good friend of Henry Kissinger's.
They wrote a book together, yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and he often says there will be an entire industry category that'll emerge, that'll build the tools for us. So let me give you an analogy and then you'll explain, then you'll understand. Software has been very useful and humans have used it to solve so many problems. And yet, a group of people said, I can actually create virus software, malevolent, malicious software, and inject it into your phones and computers and extract data or take control over someone else's computer, steal credit cards. So to defend against that, an entire class of industry called the antivirus software industry has emerged, which we install the software, it protects our phones, protects our computers. Similarly, AI software that will defend you, protect you against malicious AI software will be an industry category that'll emerge, that'll put some boundaries around this so we can use these technologies in a more safe and protected way when we choose to.
Gopy, in a world in which AI has these incredible possibilities and capabilities, in science, for example, it is able to conduct its own autonomous research. It is able to conduct experiments to diagnose a patient. Would it be possible to create the guardrails for AI without limiting its potential?
I believe so. At the end of the day, Mariana, my personal thinking around this, and a lot of it, I would say, is speculation, because we're seeing if AI could behave like this in the future, because many of the scenarios that are being portrayed are not happening. So this could go in many directions. So it is sort of a guarded speculation going on. But at the end of the day, who created that AI? It is humans. Our natural intelligence created it. So we have some agency over it, some sense of control over it, and we can decide how we want to use it and put the checks and balances, etc. It is up to us to build it. So your question is, if you put these guardrails, will it slow things down? And that's a decision we have to make. If it is in the greater good, if it's a safer thing to do, if you feel like AI is going to veer off in one direction that might actually be detrimental to the human condition, and to slow it down, we need to put some checks and balances. If it is the right thing to do, then we should do it. So within the industry, for example, before you release a product, there are groups, teams that will actually check to make sure that the products you're releasing follow certain guidelines and principles that you establish. It does slow things down for product development perspective. But if that is the safer thing to do, then make a mistake and release it. And if that's the right decision, then you should do it to build some levels of safety, yes. And it's always a give and take that you have to make a decision on.
Do you think people are educated enough in matters of AI safety? And do you think between industry and nonprofits and universities, there will be enough AI education going forward to make sure that populations really understand what the technology can do and what it can't do?
No, I don't believe they're educated enough. A few group of people close to the technology, AI elite, who understand it. But the vast majority of people who have to deal with regulations and government bodies who have to take decisions and policymakers, etc., don't understand it. And they need to go through an education process because the technology is moving so quickly. Even if you feel like, I work in the industry, and every 3 weeks I feel like I'm falling behind and I have to race to keep up because there's so much innovation and development that is happening in parallel, and so many aspects of this technology, Andrew, that you have to understand. So we will have to depend a lot on different kinds of experts to help us do that. And there again, there is a precedent. There are things that is happening in the medical field that very few people actually understand. What goes on in terms of heart surgery or things we do in the brain, or around different kinds of pharmaceutical development or genetic modification. So many aspects of it. And we rely on a few experts to explain it to the people who have to make a decision. It is slows down the process, but that's how we solve for the problem. And the same thing will apply to AI as well. The field is moving quickly. It is complex. And there are very many people, stakeholders, who need to understand it, who don't quite understand it. Particularly, just as a tiny example to exaggerate a point, let's imagine that every country, every government needs to have a certain policy around how AI is used within that society for civic affairs, for education, for health. It'll take a long time before you will actually educate the decision makers in every one of those countries before they really fully understand the grasp what's going on. Meanwhile, the technology is marching forward.
What you just mentioned healthcare. What do you think are the three industries that will probably benefit the most from AI in the short term?
Well, the ones that are likely to adopt the fastest and see benefits, the first one I always see whenever there's a technology platform shift, Mariana, travel is the one that first you'll see the adoption. With websites, you saw that, and with phones also, with mobile phones. And the same thing I'm beginning to see with an AI. It's just the nature of the product. The product itself might be physical and experiential, but before you actually buy that plane ticket or the hotel stay or the vacation package, the intermediate stages for a consumer are very easy. It's digital. There's no physical entity involved. It's easy to make a decision and price it, etc. So travel very quickly gets into that mode. Closely behind is usually retail. E-commerce and retail are the next industry that I'll see where the fastest adoption.
I would love to, instead of going to the store, try a dress in my house and be able to see myself in the mirror. Sort of how convenient, right?
We already did that. It's available now. It's called Shopping
Wow.
Try On, and I can give a demo to you.
Wow.
Through 4 weeks ago, we showed a really cool demo where I can actually point to what Andrew's wearing, take a picture of it on my phone, take my picture, and combine the two using an AI Shopping Try On. All of a sudden, I'll be wearing Andrew's shirt, or it will look like how I would look in the outfit Andrew's wearing. Although the AI systems are smart enough to tell me, I think, Gopi, you'll never be as cool looking as Andrew is.
I think it's the other way around, but
And it's not a hallucination.
we're not, you all in the Bay Area are known for your sense of style. Here in DC, we're a little bit less known for our sense of style. But it's really amazing. I mean, the race is on and entrepreneurs are plugging in. The conversation about AI is increasingly centered on the importance of applications that you can derive. Hundreds of startups and established firms are racing to create better and cheaper, more sophisticated apps. Does it really matter who wins the race, or does everybody benefit?
You're absolutely right in that applications are the most exciting next stage of AI development. And if I show a parallel, you'll quickly understand it. So I'm holding a smartphone in my hand. It's a Google Pixel 9 Fold. What makes it useful is not the fact that even though we call it a mobile phone, it's not the fact that you can actually call someone with it. That's useful. But the fact that I can download from a menu of 2.6 million applications available on the Android Play Store or the equivalent in the Apple Play Store. And if I look at your phone, Andrew, and Mariana's phone, it'll look different because you have chosen which of those applications are most useful for your life, depending on, are you interested in music or exercise or cooking or travel or learning a language? And the proliferation of highly useful applications, I am blown away by the use cases. Just yesterday, I was with a music teacher and she said, it'll be good if you can see your lip movement when you sing. Do you have a mirror around here? I said, I don't have a mirror in the room, but I'll get you one. And I didn't even know if it is aware. I just go to the App Store and type mirror app, and sure enough, there is a mirror app. And yeah, and somebody somewhere thought there is a use case for that. So no matter what the concept you can think of, a problem to be solved, someone seems to have built an app.
I think my teenage son may have come up with that app so he could look at his hair before he goes and meets his girlfriend.
I am happy that the good smart looks runs in the entire family, Andrew.
Gopi,
Yeah.
speaking about entrepreneurs, you are involved in the AI entrepreneurial ecosystem. How do you see AI being incorporated? Sort of, as we said, there are tons of entrepreneurs trying to come up with a new startup, with a new app, incorporating AI. How is that entrepreneurial ecosystem adapting AI, and where do you see sort of the most promising ventures?
The class of entrepreneurs you mentioned there, Mariana, are people who are trying to build AI-based solutions to solve problems. But I look at entrepreneurs as a broad class of
Correct.
people doing businesses to solve a variety of problems to deliver a product or service that'll be used. There'll be a lot more examples we will look to in the future where the core business is not about technology or AI, but it can be a completely different area, but uses AI to solve for a problem. And that's where I think there'll be some really incredible examples of how AI is deployed. So it's not building an AI app or use case, but how AI is used as product or another product.
Yeah, to solve another problem.
Correct. So it could be in education, in health, in food services. The possibilities are endless, again, because this technology amplifies human cognitive capability. And there is something in there, Andrew, you also mentioned about the apps and what kind of opportunities it'll create. I've always been fascinated by YouTube as a platform, and I'll tell you why. It allowed for human beings, anybody who chose to become an independent creator, publisher of content, especially video content.
It's really democratic in that sense.
Correct. 2 billion people watch it. In an earlier era, if you wanted a talk show on video, you needed to talk to the right broadcasters, etc. Now you can use YouTube if you're talented, or a musician. You don't need a manager and a gig, an agent. And using the platform, people have done all sorts of incredible things, including musical acts that pretty much 100% were created on YouTube. But the category that I'm really fascinated by is these people who seem to want to solve problems for others. There is no problem that I run into these days that I can't find an answer on YouTube. And I'm going around the house and something's
Right.
not working, and I'm like, this washing machine, I'm not familiar. What does error code 402 mean? I go to YouTube. There's somebody who has taken the time to record a video explaining error code 402 and how to fix it. Who are these people? I mean, whose
Yeah, it's
imagination?
unbelievable.
It is
Yes.
unbelievable. And it's also, somebody has done it in a language that you speak, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll see a picture of a dish that I don't know is, let's say, japchae in Korean or something, and there is somebody who's created a recipe, and it's not just in Korean; it's in English and Spanish and in Hindi, if you want. Not to mention, YouTube automatically translates it into whatever language you want to see the captioning in. So that level of creativity, and humans are willing to do it, and for the most part, nobody's getting paid to do this. It's free service. It's a gifting that they're doing so that someone else will benefit. Someone else they will never meet, see, or know is going to benefit. The guitar lessons, the piano lessons out there, it is astonishing. And since you asked, we talked about music, even my music is out there and it's got a huge amount of views. A lot of my talks are there and people are watching and commenting on it. I have no idea they are, but I'm grateful if they can benefit from my ideas, thoughts, or music sitting somewhere in Latvia or Germany. It makes me happy. A similar kind of explosion is what I'm expecting to see. Entrepreneurs using that human creativity and imagination will look at AI as a tool and say, what problem can I solve for? And you will see a proliferation of ideas, successful entrepreneurial ideas in every field of human endeavor, from music to teaching music to understanding music, or in health or in food. For me, the thing that I'm most hopeful about, Mariana and Andrew, is I feel that even after all these years of progress, there are still so many problems in the human condition that we still have not successfully solved for as a species, right? Whether it's housing or hunger or good quality healthcare for everyone, and education, social justice, etc. How will humans use in an entrepreneurial way the potential of AI to solve for this is what excites me the most.
Is that quality, Gopi, of the human being to be willing to help other human beings for free? Is that what will distinguish humans from machines? I mean, because machines are going to be much smarter than us, but will they be willing to cooperate and to help other machines or other humans as as this that we are describing?
I don't know if I can fully sign to the argument that machines will be smarter than humans. They will seem smarter in certain aspects. Yes, it is true that we build AI systems that can beat the best player of chess or a Go. And at that point, you feel like they are smarter. But that's because there is components of the AI software that allows for it to play against itself, learn and build and do things from a game strategy. But I don't quite buy into theory that it is smarter, because what distinguishes humans from machines in that case, or an AI system, is the human can still explain logically certain moves or even how create the game from scratch. And I'm not sure if AI systems are yet at that capability. In math, for example, they can solve for complex problems. But no AI system has yet shown the capability to come up with a completely new theorem of math the way a mathematics professor or researcher can. And this is where the concept of smart, being smarter, you have to come with a very accurate definition. But there's another aspect of the human condition that I personally believe that we will never, ever see the smartest AI system ever be able to bring up. And that is the concept of love and emotion and consciousness. That is a unique human quality, even though you hear stories of AI systems acting like that they are in love with the person that they're talking to. But I think in that case, that's because they're making up words and sentences that they must have read and learned in romantic novels and movie scripts, etc. So the AI systems know how to respond to a particular question or emotion, but they're not feeling the emotion the way
Right.
humans do. There is no consciousness there. If those of you, I know, Andrew, you're a parent, and Mariana, if you're one.
Yes, I am.
Okay, then the emotional connection a mother or father feels for their offspring is something unique. I don't know how to explain it and box it, and I see it, I feel it from my mother. That's never, ever going to be displayed or going to be embodied in an AI system. Not to mention, humans have a sense of a connection with the higher self, and we call it spirituality, or might be called religion, for lack of a better word. But whatever their definition, each person has their own individual definition. That awareness connection, I never expect any AI system to be capable of doing it. That will be uniquely ours.
Fascinating discussion. You mentioned YouTube a minute ago, and there's something I think about YouTube a lot, and I think about our information economy right now as a big ask economy. We're in an ask and an attention economy, and in an ask economy and an explain economy. You've spoken a lot about the shift from search engines to answer engines and even to conversation engines. How will this affect the way we interact with technology and the way we interact with brands?
Yeah. So, Andrew, when you brought up that question, I know when you had mentioned it before the podcast, also, I'd even completely forgotten that I was talking about that concept. And that is only 4 months ago, because we actually moved past that. So I said, that is true. 4 months ago, it seemed like ancient history. I did talk about search engine to answer engine to conversation engine, because that's what AI helped us do. We had gone from search to conversation. But we actually moved past that. We moved past to now what I call task engine, where they're autonomously doing tasks for you. And they've actually moved to intelligence engine, where we simply moved from just being a tool to get information to actual intelligence, right? It puts us context. And the other thing they're beginning to do is actually they're becoming a remote control to the physical world. So AI systems are, I can demo it separately, but or on this phone, I could do a video audio demo and the audience may be able to hear. It actually can see the objects around me and interpret it for me. I have this bowl of food, and if I hold my Gemini Live with a video view, I can have a conversation with it. It'll explain to me what nutrition is in the food, and then in certain cases, it can then go on to complete tasks for me, etc. So it is astonishing that it's moved from just a search engine where to discover some things and then I have to interpret it. Now it can help me complete a whole task, like repair a bicycle or cook a dish, by interacting with the world and say, use that cumin seed or put that garam masala into the pan. It'll be astonishing. That was your question, right? Or there was a follow on?
Yeah, no, that was the question. But I mean, what it makes me think about too is okay, so now it's moved on to a task engine. Is this where we need to start worrying about the machines coming for our jobs?
Definitely. I yesterday gave a group of visitors a ride in a self-driving car. I live in San Francisco, which is now the capital of the world for self-driving cars, because that's where the first commercial launches by Waymo, which is a sister company of Google, was launched. We've crossed 10 million rides now. 10 million rides is the equivalent of everybody in the state of Michigan or North Carolina having ridden one. The pace of adoption is incredible. And it's already available in San Francisco and Los Angeles for anyone who chooses to ride in them, and limited basis in, I think, Phoenix, and coming soon to Atlanta, Miami, and Tokyo for international expansion. So there the question always is it taking away the job of some people who drive cars for a living, whose job is to drive cars? And that is indeed true. If the whole world switched to self-driving cars, the job will go away. The way to look at job impact from AI, I would say, is you have to put them into three categories. There will be some jobs that will be what I call drained. They'll go away. And that is the case with any technology platform shift. When we went from horse-driven drawn buggies to cars, it happened. When we moved from handloom to textiles through machinery, that happened. And when we moved from very, very primitive forms of agriculture to agriculture through automation, tractor, and all harvesters, that happened as well. So every wave of technology shift, that always happens. Or look, printing, when we went from the manual composing and printing of material to digital publishing, the typesetter's job went away. So there will be just a set of jobs that will be drained. There will be a vast majority of jobs that will get changed. The jobs will continue, but how we do it, what we do with it, will change it. Just like Thanks to the automated teller machine, the bank teller's job changed and became a customer relationship manager, as opposed to counting cash and handing it to you when you needed to withdraw. And then there'll be an entire category of jobs that will get created, that are jobs that will be gained. These jobs do not exist today, much like how the internet created a whole category of jobs like web analyst or user experience designer, data scientist that we didn't have before. So that will be the impact of jobs. Jobs that will be drained, jobs that will be changed, vast majority, and jobs that will be gained. And in the process, somewhere in the continuum, people who used to do, or job categories that existed in the drain category, get replaced by the gain category.
Whoopi, in that, as a mother, sort of what would be sort of the skills that my children would need to have to succeed in the AI world? And it's not coding anymore because the machine is doing it for us. What would you say? Is it more personal skills, more technical skills? If you had children going into college, let's say, what would you recommend?
Yeah. A quick correction in that. Again, this thing that we'll have AI and we will no need anyone to code, I don't think is going to be true. The machines will help you with coding and they will do some amount of coding, but there will still be humans needed on top of it as an adjunct to the coding, because there'll be some kind of code that can only be written by humans at this stage. And I also think that the need for code in the world will be so much that we'll need machines plus humans to fulfill it. And even then, there'll be a shortfall, much like energy, right? We don't just seem to be able to generate enough energy for the world's needs. We are constantly in a hunger mode. And same way, the amount of AI and other automation software that'll go into every devices that we're seeing, it's in a watch, in a car, in a dashboard, in a phone, in our washing machine, a doorbell, in our thermostat. So there will be so much code that will be required that I think AI plus humans will always be there in the coding business for a long time. In terms of what skills, first of all, I would say there is a lot of skills, AI and non AI, that the world will need for us to live. But in this case, I think if I understand the question correctly, the intent behind your question seems to be, when it pertains to AI, what are the skills that we need to have, right? So that we can live in a world where AI is an important technology that we use. And that would fall into the same category again, like I'd say with electricity. Some people only use it; they just know how to flick a switch and turn on a device, and are full beneficiaries of it. But they know how to handle it safely. Beyond that, they don't need to need. There are others who work on electricity generation, distribution, transmission, and there are others who build equipment that runs off electricity and specialize in that, electrical engineers of sorts. In the same way with AI, it depends on where they want to go. If they actually want to work with the technology and build it, they have to go deep into AI related computer science topics and learn about neural networks and deep learning tools and all of the AI methodologies that are now evolving and rapidly changing. So you go deep into it. There are others who would say, who need to have the skills to build things using AI, and they might work in anything from hospitality to airline, but close to the technology and look at the technology and say, what can I do with it that'll change the way we do certain things? So, for example, in the advertising industry, people who used to do traditional, what we call digital advertising, now are looking at, say, what can I do differently in the creative field of advertising with AI now helping me? In the past, I'd have used digital to do one digital campaign that the whole world saw. Now I can do 3 million versions of it because AI helps me fine tune it for every micro market. The third category would be people who just need to be comfortable about using AI to do their work. And this will be doctors who will know how to use AI without needing to know the underlying technology because they left other people do it. But I'm going to use AI to give a different level of care for Andrew and for Mariana that I could not do before, where I can actually research everything about them and the data points that I have access to in order to put together a full composite picture of the patient in front of me. Same way in education. Today we do mass education, but we could actually do in the future with AI custom education, where the education is adapted to the learning ability of each person and at a pace at which we want. Today, we insist that, Mariana, if you and Andrew are in the same classroom, in the same program, whether you're doing Spanish or business engineering, you have to pace with each other. The whole class moves at the same pace, and at the end of the term, you get an exam. What if, thanks to AI, if I say I'm going at a different pace, I'll have the freedom to say I'm going to take 8 months to learn this calculus course that a brilliant mind like Andrew can do in 80 days. And that's totally fine. And he can take his exam after 80 days, and I will do it after 8 months because that's the pace at which I want to go. And I have my regular teacher plus an AI enabled special tutor for me that allows me to pace myself at my pace. So you can see all of those possibilities emerge. And for that, the educational administrators need to know how to use AI based education tools to enable that without really having to know how to build those tools. So to answer your question, I think in depending on what your children are drawn to and their passions are, they could go many different ways. Having said all that, a fundamental rudimentary understanding of what is AI, how to use it, where you can apply it, how it is changing, being curious about it is essential. So the most important thing I'll tell them is be curious, educate yourself about what is available now, start playing around with the tools because many of them are free and available. Keep doing. In fact, you could even, I don't know the ages, but you could even give them a game saying each day play with an AI tool and come back and tell me something, teach the rest of the family something you learned that you couldn't do yesterday, and wow us and reward them for it. And they'll come up with amazing things, from music to solving problems to having learned about maybe fields like genetics or astronomy that you would not have expected them to.
As we're talking about this, I wonder, you're so close to it. What is the number one thing that has surprised you that you've learned about AI?
The number one thing that has surprised me is the speed with which it suddenly came out of the box and has become such an incredible part of our awareness. So AI is not a new field, Andrew. The term was coined as I think in 1960 by the Dartmouth mathematician John Murray. So we were on. In fact, I studied AI in graduate school, but back then it was dismissed as an interesting theoretical concept, but of no practical value because we can't implement it. So, in fact, if you did a PhD in certain fields of AI, like neural networks, etc., you would be considered that your career is not going to go anywhere. You could not get research projects or get hired into a university. So it lay sort of dormant till in the last 10 years, people in the field were getting intrigued by it and the possibilities. But in the last 24 months, it suddenly just exploded. And in the last 6 months, it has become the hot topic that elections are fought on, and everyone is asking the question. And people on the street have at least heard of some perspective on it. Not everyone may fully understand it, but it's no longer a foreign term. You will never get the question, what is AI? Everyone seems to have some answer around it. That to me is the biggest surprise, that how did this one technology of hundreds that we are working on currently, quantum computing and nuclear fission and so many other areas, why did this one suddenly take off at this level? And it has gone almost instantaneously, ricocheted around the world, where, I go back to family visits to India, to the small town, and older relatives are asking me about it. And normally I would not have expected them to know about this technology so quickly. And that is shocked and surprised me in an incredible way.
Yeah. So no, the speed is incredible. But you started this conversation by saying AI is a transformational technology, right? With that in mind, what would you say in a country like the United States, where you have companies and a healthy entrepreneurial ecosystem trying to incorporate it into solving problems? What would be the impact on economic growth? Do you have an estimate?
Definitely, whenever we build these tools, Mariana, it improves productivity, right? Things get done faster, differently. And anytime there is productivity improvements, it leads to economic development, upliftment. And I have great expectations from AI. I'll give you some numbers that I've seen. I used to work at McKinsey before, and McKinsey put out a report called The Economic Impact of Generative AI. And in that, they say the impact of generative AI over the next few years is estimated to be about $3 $0.3 trillion. They looked at 57 industries and did a bottoms-up calculation. That's a large number. Let me give you a sense of scale. That's slightly bigger than the UK economy. So essentially, they're saying, thanks to generative AI, we will add an entire UK size
Wow.
economy to the world. And that's the kind of economic GDP growth. That is generative AI, that kind of AI that is responsible for creative pursuits, music and video and conversation and content. There's also analytical AI, machine learning, and tools like that deal with the left brain aspects, logic, math, big data. And AI systems on that side are supposed to generate $11.8 trillion in GDP growth, 4 times the number. So we will add, just to use that same metric, about 5 UK economies if it all plays out well over the next few years. And this has got to be good news for jobs, job creation, economic growth and development, etc. Prosperity for the world. If you believe that better, more economic development, GDP growth is good for everyone. And I would endorse that. In the last 30 years, we lifted 1 billion people out of above the poverty line as defined by the United Nations. And it came mostly from growth in economic development in India, Southeast Asia, China, Brazil. And if AI were to do something similar, it can only be good news for the world as more goods and services are created thanks to AI and distributed and put in the hands of more people. So that is my hope for a better world through economic development thanks to AI. One more tool among many tools that we have built that has improved the quality of life for the human condition.
Whoopi, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of this episode. We have 1,000 questions, and we would love to do a episode 2 with you. But before you go, let me just ask you if you can give our audience a present. I mean, for someone like me that I'm a neophyte in this world, what are the 2 books or the one book that will help me understand AI? And what would be like the newspaper, a daily, a weekly, that will help me sort of keep on top of all of the developments?
I'll give you a conventional answer. I was thinking about it. I didn't want to, but among all of the books that I looked at, Genius Makers is the book that I liked the best by Kate Metz. It really tracks how AI got developed, who are the people, and I find it really fascinating read. So I would recommend Genius Makers. And then both in terms of a book and a regular post comes a few times a week. I went to Wharton, and Wharton professor Ethan Mollick has been doing a great job. He wrote a book called Co-Intelligence. He's also got LinkedIn Post and Medium Post, Substack that you can follow. Having said that, I'm also going to say use something that does not fit into a box. I used AI to learn about AI. So there is a tool. It's an experimental tool. If you search, it's from Google. It's called Learn About. So you go to the tool called Learn About. It's on the web. And then you can say, I want to learn about artificial intelligence, or I want to learn about generative AI. And it starts building a lesson for you and doing that. I would also say dig deep into it. Have a conversation with AI itself. Use any AI tool, OpenAI, Perplexity, Gemini, and start chatting with it as if it's your personal tutor. And first question could be, I'm here to learn about AI. I know nothing about it. Tell me, what should I know? It'll give you a bunch of stuff. Then ask the next question. And it'll lead you down various paths and be endlessly curious about it. If you really want to do it very organized systematically, I would say you can use the deep research tools all these companies have put out if you want to go really deep into the topic. So you choose the deep research option. And a final one that I would recommend is also Notebook LM, which is an AI powered product. It's your project notebook, your project site. You upload a lot of documents and material you have about AI. And actually, it's likely somebody has created a notebook about AI that's publicly accessible. And what it does is it's almost imagine like you have a personal friend, except in this case, an AI powered tool that knows everything about a particular area of AI that you wanted to know about instead of just whatever is available on the web. You can limit it, contain it, saying, I only want you to look at these 8 textbooks about AI and then answer questions I have as I learn. Teach me about it. And you can ask questions. It'll create an audio podcast if you want, and you can listen to it. It's got lots of exploration tools. So besides a conventional way of learning, which is a book and read it linearly, or you're asking a podcast or a weekly post, which you get information in bite-sized and discrete sizes, use AI to explore it in a non-linear way in various paths you want to take, and stumble down various paths that you did not even know existed, and you discover tunnels and mazes down the AI learning path, and the AI tool leads you, and let your curiosity guide you. That'll be a much more fascinating, interesting way to learn. And the final thing I'll say, because we say AI will never take place of the human, I still use humans. I have a group of close friends who are avid readers and discussers, and we have a small discussion group. I track what they post. They'll find links, and I'm like, I have no idea where they get these sources from. So they are sort of like my human editors and curators for the best content. So you should find a good tribe. Find 4 friends or followers. If you don't know them, find them on the web, and they are regularly talking about it, posting about it follow them on social media, and they become your human editors for the best quality content you need to know about AI.
Whoopi, my God, thank you so, so much. What an incredible conversation.
Incredible. Thank you.
I mean, we closed this episode with such an optimistic view of how AI can make us all much, much smarter, you know? So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mariana. I forgot to tell you, this morning I spoke to a publisher. So if everything goes through in 3 months from now, if you ask me the answer, I'll say, read my book about it. But right now I
Yes.
can't offer it.
Good.
There you go.
We hope you'll come back to talk about the book as well.
If you enjoyed this podcast, check out our larger suite of CSIS podcasts. From Into Africa, The Asia Chessboard, China Power, AIDS 2020, The Trade Guys, Smart Women, Smart Power, and more. You can listen to them all on major streaming platforms like iTunes and Spotify. Visit csis.org/podcasts to see our full catalog.